Hello and welcome to Monkmatics. This is the channel that will educate you and help remove bias from your picks and your bets for every UFC event. This is going to be a part 2 to the part 1 video that I just made. It was originally supposed to be one part, but then I got a phone call and I thought it was an emergency. And let's see if you can guess if it was actually an emergency. So yeah, here's part 2 of the video. We're just going to pick up where we left off. I'm probably not going to edit it. I'll just put 2 videos out and I'll figure the rest out later. It'll definitely be better quality as we go along. Okay. So where were we? Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Thompson, co-main event of the evening. What's going on here? We'll just start it over. So we already talked about the first half. 5'10 versus 6 foot, 71-inch reach advantage to 75-inch reach for Wonderboy, and Wonderboy is 3.5 years older. The ass whoop index for Durinho is pretty good, 6.46 compared to 4.89 for Thompson. The power index and the chin index are there, and both are better than Burns has shown. 7,700 for Gilbert Burns for the salary, 8,500 for Stephen Thompson. Neither guys generally scores. I mean, they're average, a little bit above average, I guess, in this division. As far as DraftKings points goes, there's the projections if you'd like. DraftKings data. We got a positive point differential on both sides, very close to each other, 0.7 to 0.65. Both score pretty well, a little bit better than average in their wins, 97.65 to 94.44. And we pretty much got a grappler versus striker fight here. We'll see if Stephen Thompson can keep Burns at distance, or if Burns will be able to get inside and possibly take Stephen Thompson down. I know that's difficult to do for sure against that karate stance, but that's kind of why we're watching the fight. Fight finishing data. We've got finishes galore here. Seven total finishes, 58% for Gilbert Burns, and 5 finishes for Stephen Thompson. 8 knockouts between them, or knockout TKO victory between them. Burns has been finished twice, and Pettis did finish Thompson, and that is his only finish of his career. So let's scroll down. Last 5 fights. Come on. Now my computer's being very slow. Oh, I also have a... remind me in the comments if you want to hear my Dell story. I ordered a pre-built from Dell, I don't know, 2 months ago. And I haven't received one that works yet. I'm doing my 3rd exchange right now, so I know most of you can probably laugh at me for that, but you can't buy a graphics card anywhere, blah, blah, blah. If you want to hear that story, let me know. But hopefully in the next month, I'll have a new PC that won't be stalling out all the time. Anyways, fight history. Pretty back and forth, actually, for the striking. Burns is better offensively, but Thompson seems a bit better defensively. Thompson definitely lands more strikes, almost 2 strikes more per minute than Burns has been doing. But he also, he gets 3 landed on him a minute, and Burns only 2.67. So it is a little bit different, but the differential there is massive with Thompson. Not much work on the ground, obviously, with Stephen Wonderboy, but there is a little bit. There's the comparisons for how we're trending. For the most part, decent. I think Wonderboy maybe a little bit better. Trending in a little bit better direction, I should say. Strength of schedule. It's pretty clear that Gilbert Burns has the better strength of schedule. The tougher strength of schedule, rather. And his strength of defeat, Kamaru Usman, possibly one of the best to ever do it. So there's no shame in losing to any fight, but no shame in losing to Kamaru Usman, especially. Thompson, he's 3-2 in his last 5. He did lose to Pettis, got knocked out, and then he did have a strange 5-round decision with Darren Till, where he only landed 30 strikes, only 1.2 strikes a minute for Wonderboy Thompson, and I think that's just how Till fights. till really limit your volume from every angle. I do not expect to see those numbers against Gilbert Burns, who gave up almost 8 strikes a minute to Usman. You know, Woodley is Woodley, Maia is Maia. None of these guys. He hasn't fought any other strikers other than Usman, and Usman hasn't even been known as a striker until, you know, Joe Rogan started talking about how he had the best jab in the game. So Gilbert Burns is fighting a lot of ground guys. This is really going to be an interesting fight. I don't think Burns handles it well. I know I'm not making picks in this, but you can probably figure out where I'm leaning with that one. Graphs look decent. Stephen Wonderboy has no takedown defense or offense to speak of. Not meaning that it's bad, meaning that it literally doesn't exist in his fights. But these guys are pretty good everywhere. They're all better than their opponent for the most part in every category. Striking data. Let's get into it. These guys are really, I know this is weird to say, but Thompson is, well, Gilbert is a little bit below average striker, and Thompson statistically is a bit above average striker. I'm not telling you anything that you probably don't already know, but the differential is the main thing. Stephen Wonderboy, 1.43 compared to a 0.18 from Gilbert Burns. Knockdown data. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, again with the stand-up numbers here. 10 knockdowns in his career. 0.65 knockdowns per 15 minutes. That's good for 16th in the division. Gilbert Burns is about half that. They've both been knocked down rather, in their fights. 6-5. Stephen Thompson has those spread out a bit more, so it looks better, but they're both pretty chinny if you catch them. Takedown numbers. This one's gonna go, oh, I don't know actually. I mean, Gilbert Burns volume-wise lands more takedowns, but his accuracy is not great. 35.7. That's expending a lot of energy. Thompson doesn't go for takedowns, but when he does, I mean, 45% is a little bit better. Thompson's defense, though, 78%. Very good. Stuffed, what is that? 25 takedowns out of 32. Where Gilbert Burns just stuffed 10 out of 10. He's only at 50%. That said, Gilbert is obviously the better wrestler. But it is proven some people difficult to take Stephen Thompson down. Control time, same thing. Gilbert Burns dominates that category because Thompson just doesn't. That's not how he fights. He fights at distance, karate striker. Submissions, same thing. I don't think Thompson has thrown one, no, and he's never been subbed either. Gilbert's never been subbed, and he has 4 subs on his record. Striking numbers. What should jump out at me is Thompson being better almost everywhere, and that is exactly what I'm looking at. Yeah, that's about it there. Fight from distance. He throws 90% of his strikes are from distance. It's 9th in the division, so that is quite a bit. Gilbert does not target the head much compared to body and legs, but he does a lot more of his work on the ground, or at least he tries to. I think he tries to be a striker sometimes, and he hasn't had to fight strikers, so that's what you get there. All right. On to the main event. We'll put Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, and if you're wondering what this big black box is here, this is a 5-round fight. So we get 5 rounds worth of projections, boy. There we go. Oh, I didn't cuss this whole time, and then I just did. It's a super flex I just pulled, changing that background like that. Anyways, this whole thing is a super flex, honestly, because it's a completely dynamic spreadsheet. I know some of you are probably like, it's not a big deal. To me, it's a big deal, man. I don't have to type in everybody's information. I literally type their name, and all of my background work does it for me. So you're looking at that live switch, and it looks so nice. All right, Dustin Poirier going against Conor McGregor for the not first, not second, but 3rd time in their career. This one's happening at lightweight, 5 same height. Let's see, McGregor has a 2-inch reach advantage, and they are what? Poirier is 6 months younger than Conor. Conor's fights last a little are a little shorter. Let's see, AWI is really good here. 9.58 for Connor to 8.82 for Dustin. Power index, 4th in the division, 2.27 power index compared to a 0.8 for Dustin. Chin index, pretty much the same. A little bit tipped to Dustin. Upcoming fight odds. The bookies say that Dustin, this line's flipped as well. Dustin is going to win inside the distance. Wait, what? I must need to I just updated it last night, so this might not be accurate. But that's what it says here. Salary is virtually identical because it is exactly identical. They both score pretty well, DraftKings, and they both their opponents don't score well against them. So that's what we are looking at here. Look at this decision number. 5-round fight, 115 for Poirier, 114 for McGregor. So this fight goes to decision. You're going to score well, no matter what. I will be exposed to both sides of this. Probably more for Dustin. But even that decision, look at these finishes. You get more points in a decision win than you would in a second round, first round finish. Maybe. We'll see. Some of my projections have been pretty close lately. And there's the value underneath them. Like we talked about, DraftKings data, 4 points per minute. That's a difference of 1.2, and he's got 4.19. We'll just call it 420. Raw DraftKings points per minute with a 1.06 differential. So really good numbers there from both guys. Really good. And they both score very well in their decisions, or in their wins, I mean. 106, almost 107 for Dustin per win. 114 for McGregor per win. And these guys got mad wins in the UFC, so that's consistency right there. As far as striker versus grappler, it's more of a striker versus striker, but Dustin does have some grappling points thrown in there, many more than Conor McGregor does. Is this going to be a finish? Probably. 63% of Dustin's wins have been finishes. 80% of his losses have been finishes. 80% of Conor's wins have been finishes, and 100% of Conor's losses have been finishes. So I'm thinking finish. All right. I mean, how could I just say what I just said out loud and not be thinking finish? So take a look at those graphs. You know, I don't know how you can argue with it, but there is a world where this goes to decision. I don't think we live there, but we'll see. Fight history, last 5 fights. This is a good one. Look at these alternates. This is a checkerboard here. Checkerboard. Dustin, worse accuracy by about 2.5 points, but he throws more significant strike, or lands more significant strikes per minute by almost over a half. His defense is better, but he gets landed against more by about a third of a strike. Knockdowns, 2 knockdowns compared to 7 that McGregor has in his past 5. Yeah, 7. But he has been knocked down once. He does have more raw DraftKings points at 3.65, but he gets scored at almost an equal rate at 3.63. However, he does have a positive differential. Wait a minute. That's not accurate. Oh, I'm not looking at the right thing. He does have a positive differential, whereas Dustin has a negative points differential. And it looks like McGregor's getting a little tougher, has a little bit more power, but has a little bit worse of a chin as well. Meanwhile, Dustin's chin is perfect in his last 5. He's not quite as powerful, but he is getting the job done. Neither one of these guys is really improving too many spots. McGregor, his accuracy actually is going up, which is crazy. Significant striking accuracy in his last 5. His takedown defense is getting better, which is also surprising since he fought Khabib. And the number of takedowns landed against has gotten better. Everything else, not so much. And Dustin, not keeping up with the Joneses there either. All right. Strength of schedule. Clearly, Dustin Poirier, it's not even close anywhere. In fact, the only guy he's lost to in the past 5 fights is Khabib. That's why his strength, Khabib's perfect there. So That's why Conor's not perfect. He also lost to Dustin. So you can take a look at that if you like. What else do we have still in focus for this last fight? Let's look at our graphs. Surprisingly, Conor McGregor not doing well against his last 5 opponents. Just isn't. I know he's 3-2. He's got 2 knockouts and a majority win, but he's also been knocked out and he's been subbed. So, just not doing well against his last opponents. Has no takedown game to speak of, offensive or defensively. Has no control time game to speak of. Striking, obviously, and that's what he has. And Dustin does have a little bit of the ground to go with. Not as good striking as Conor has. So we'll see how this plays out. Speaking of striking data, look at that. Just look at it. Lots of red over here. Lots of green over here. He's got a better differential. He's more accurate, barely, but more accurate. He lands more. He throws more. His defense is better. He gets hit less, and he gets thrown at less. I mean, what are we talking about here? McGregor clearly is the better striker. Yeah, that's what everyone would say. But look at these numbers. I'm just saying. Give you something to think about. Gives me something to think about as well. And Dustin scores more DraftKings points per minute by striking than McGregor does. Now that's crazy to think about. Knockdown data, 12 career, 13 for Conor. These are the two, I mean, what are we going to say? The top two knockout artists in the light heavyweight division? Knockdown artist? Is that a thing? I mean, that's what we're looking at here. But you got to give it to Conor. He's only been knocked down once. And he's got one more. And look at this knockdown per 15. Almost 2. That is crazy. I guarantee the 3 guys above him have like 1 fight, and it's probably 2 minutes long. So they aren't even in this conversation. Excuse me. Takedown data. Let's take a look. I don't know. I know Conor doesn't do much on the ground, so I guess I got to give it to Dustin. But his accuracy's not great, and his defense isn't great either. He does have a positive differential, which is kind of why I'm leaning Dustin that way. Control time, obviously Dustin. It's not even close. Submission data, obviously Dustin. Not even close again. Advanced striking, what jumps out at me? I'd say his head striking, accuracy, volume, definitely jumps out. Leg striking defense for Conor, I mean, actually, it was probably a lot better up until Dustin chopped it down, but we'll have to see what happens on this one. He does take a lot of leg strikes, though. And nothing really jumps out at me there. Take a look at the graphs. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And if you're only watching this second video, if you wanted to see the rest of the fights, there is a video right before this that I had to cut off due to what I thought was an emergency and was not. So go ahead, check that one out if you like. But thank you so much for sticking with me. I really hope you enjoyed this content. Or at least get some value out of it. I'll do my best to not just drone on and just read what I'm looking at. I'll try to keep it lighthearted, entertaining as much as possible. That said, I mean, I can only do so much. I'm trying to give you all the numbers that you could possibly imagine, and even all the ones that you didn't think existed. Anything to give you that edge against your bookie, against your competitors on DraftKings or FanDuel. Anything I can do to help bring that to you guys, I'd be glad to do it. Plus, it helps me out as well. I obviously use this information for my own benefit. So, that said, thank you guys again so much. If you enjoyed it, or if you didn't hate it, go ahead and drop a like on the video. I'm sure that'll help. I think that's what YouTube people say. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. And I'm planning on, but seriously, I'm planning on making a few videos a week, fight week or not. Just kind of breaking down fights. Let me know what you guys want to see. I like to do the fast, like 10-minute per fight. Just give you all the numbers at the beginning of the week. Then maybe throughout the week, I'll give picks, and we'll kind of deep dive on maybe the co-main event, the main event, and any other fight that kind of jumps out at us. We'll do a deep dive on that. So thanks again, guys. Stick with me. Enjoy fight week, and I'll try to bring you as much information as possible. Thank you so much. Have a good one.